You're born in the vault and you die in the vault. This was to be the fate of you and the other denizens of Vault 101. This is a vault that, unknown to many of its inhabitants, bar our shitlord of a father, would play a central role in the future of the DC wasteland and the eventual fate of the Enclave. However, this vault differs from many of the vaults that we have encountered in the past. This is due to the unique nature of the experiment that was conducted within the vault. Yes, there was an experiment. Many people incorrectly assume that the vault was a control vault, in that it was simply meant to function as a baseline of normality to compare the other vaults to. The reason such a comparison would be needed is when the data was collected by the Enclave. That will be covered in a future video, but suffice to say the purpose of Vault 101 was to put a single person in charge of everyone's lives in the vault, the Overseer, attribute almost divine properties to their authority, and for the vault to be sealed forever. The purpose of Vault 101 was to keep its citizens in the vault forever, and to see how long they could survive under the rule of one person, the Overseer. The vault was never to be opened. The vault's first Overseer tried to create the illusion that the outside world was, and always would be, uninhabitable. They did so by making a fake radio signal to aid this illusion, that shit had hit the fan. Which, to be fair to them, it did, and with quite velocity. This Overseer eventually passed away, and the second one took over the running of Vault 101. This Overseer still ran a tight ship, maintaining that they would never open the vault, leave the vault, or try to communicate with anyone outside the vault. Then they opened the vault, let people leave the vault, and let people communicate with people outside the vault. Yeah, their conviction was not great. What form this communication or interaction with the outside world took is unknown, though given that the vault was still not open to the other citizens and no logs of these communications can be found, we can assume these visits were kept under the utmost secrecy. The Overseer that preceded Alphonse Almodovar was a great advocate of exploration into the outside world. A team was formed by the Overseer, and one member of this team was Anne Palmer, the daughter of Lucy Palmer, the deranged old woman in the vault that gives you the shite sweets for your birthday. Yeah, she's that old. Anna appears to have died in the wastes according to her GEC description. She was most likely the original owner of the armoured Vault 101 jumpsuit. Logs of the findings this team made can be found on the Overseer's terminal. The expedition log tells us that they found out quite a bit about the current state of the waste. The radiation levels were safe enough, although Radax was still needed. The topography was greatly altered as well, and we can chalk this down to the impact of nuclear weapons and possibly resulting tectonic activity. A scientist called McKay formulated a theory that stated the longer an animal or insect was exposed to radiation, the larger it would grow. The proof of this theory came with an encounter with giant ants near Springvale. They appear to have killed several of the creatures, and we can assume they brought them back to Vault 101 at some point, though we never see them. They eventually make their way to Megaton, where they appear to base most of their future expeditions out of. Upon learning of the dangers of the waste, it also appears that certain plans were revised, possibly plans that involved opening the vault. Lewis and Agnes Taylor remained behind to act as ambassadors and to collect future info. The Overseer died on such an expedition, and control of the vault fell to Alphonse Almodovar. Agnes Taylor returned to the vault, although the fate of Lewis remains unknown. Agnes got killed by radroaches when our dad left, so yeah, that's kind of bad crack. The isolationism of the vault returned with Alphonse Almodovar. The reason for this is most likely due to the contents of the research logs, and possibly the death of his wife, fearing that the outside world would destroy or harm his daughter Amada. He also changed the motto of the vault: no one ever enters and no one ever leaves. Also, everyone was born here and everyone will die here. Outside the vault, several skeletons can be found. On them are pickets, signs, pleading to be let into the vault. Now, since we know that Alphonse favoured isolation the most, we can assume that these people arrived sometime during his rule, and that he let them die outside the vault. However, this isolationism was not ironclad. The father of the lone wanderer, James, was let into the vault in exchange for his services as a doctor, and the son of Anne Palmer, Jonas, was made his assistant. Looking at their terminal entries, we can see that not only did Jonas share his mother's interest in the outside world, but that he helped James in his research into Project Purity. From looking at the files on their computers, we can find out a few things. The Project Purity research was being carried out here, and they utilised the water chips in the vault. It also appears to be the point when James confided in Jonas about the purpose of his work. If we look at some of the other terminal entries, we can find out some other interesting things. First of all, one of the want-to-be members of the most hardened group around, the Tunnel Snakes, had VDS, Vault Depressive Disorder, so Freddy is actually extremely depressed and acts like a dickhead to try and cover it all up. Stanley seems to have a constant sore head, though due to his workload it will continue indefinitely. The next entry on Amada is also the first indication we get that Alphonse is an overbearing father and kind of a cunt. He wants James to breach doctor-patient confidentiality, and it seems to be because he thinks she is sleeping around. The entry on his terminal also shows that he seems to be aware that he's pushing her away, but he doesn't seem to know how to make things right. In his terminal entry on Jonas, he also seems to have noticed that Jonas is taken in by James's ideas, which may mean that even back then, he was aware or at least suspected what James was planning. Now of course I wouldn't forget to talk about the Tunnel Snakes. They rule. Founded around the time of the Lone Wanderer's 10th birthday, the gang would go down in Vault 101 history as a group of fucking plebs. The members are Butch, Wally and Paul. Whether Freddy ever actually got membership is unknown. The group was formed as a way for the lads to be a real gang, although if we look at the Overseer's terminal again, it appears it may have been a bit more than this. According to the terminal, the Overseer regularly used the Tunnel Snakes to harass people, either when he didn't want to use security, or when he wanted to create scenarios where security would look effective. By the time we return to Vault 101, Butch is the only remaining member, and the naive sod still wants to go into the waste and make a fucking gang. One more disturbing thing to note, Beatrice gives the player a poem on their 10th birthday. Now many people either read it once or ignore it, but it is significant. The last line reads, "Then eternal slumber, the sweet sleep of incineration." Now this could mean many things, but given that it is implied in the poem that you're dead at this point, and I doubt she's telling a 10-year-old they're going to burn in hell, here's what I think. I think when people die in Vault 101, they are incinerated. It makes sense as they wouldn't really have anywhere to be buried. The Overseer seems to have some problems with her as well. In his terminal entry, he essentially calls her a whore, and suggests, what sounds to be anyway, that she needs to be euthanized via medical procedure or put into a medically induced coma, which is pretty fucking dark. Then again, she gives us a shit poem and does tarot card readings, so she probably deserves it anyway. When we return to the vault, she's dead. Andy killed her by amputating her foot as she had a slight sprain in her toe. Eventually, however, James's work required him to leave the vault. A radroach infestation afforded the perfect opportunity, and with Jonas's help, he escaped, leaving you behind. Shortly after, Jonas was questioned by Officer Mack, and had his head domed in and was killed. The Overseer then tries to seize you to question you on his whereabouts. Your actions here will influence people's opinion of you once you eventually return to the vault, so be careful whether you want to leave peacefully or just kill everyone. Eventually, however, you will pick up a distress signal, and must once again return to the vault, to save or ruin it. Depending on what you did, either Amada's father or Alan Mack will be the Overseer. A rebel group has been founded by Amada, and they wish to open the vault and trade and interact with the people of the Wastes. Some even want to leave. The Overseer, however, wishes the experiment to continue, and prevents anyone from leaving. A terminal entry will be found that details their interactions with the Enclave. Apparently, they tried to get access to the vault. However, Amada changed the codes, preventing them from doing so. Even though they had the proof that they were related to Vault-Tec, the Overseer still refused to relinquish power, and instead chose to continue their isolation, which was probably a good choice considering the Enclave probably would have just killed them all. When you arrive, you can find a terminal entry by the head of security Paul Hannon, who plans a secret raid on the rebels using real ammunition. He says that the Overseer must not be informed and that they will make an example of a few of the rebels to make sure the rest fall in line. This shows just how tense the situation was. There are many ways to resolve this conflict, either keeping the vault closed or opening it. But for me, I find violence is definitely the most efficient way. However, in doing so, Amada becomes the new Overseer, and she will ask you to leave the vault.
I just heard what you did. It was terrible, but I guess it had to be done. What's more, some of the people are saying I should be the new Overseer. It's all so sudden. I'm sure you did everything you could to find another way. I know how stubborn he is. How stubborn he was. But you're right. We don't have time to grieve. The vault needs a leader now. That makes the rest of this even harder. You saved us, but that doesn't change the fact that you killed one of us to do it. And I can't let that sort of thing stand here. I guess it's a bit familiar. You've already been forced out of the vault once before. At least now you know what's out there. I'm sorry. You're a hero, and you have to leave.
This will be the last time you walk the halls of Vault 101, as she has decided that you're too violent to be kept around. This was a vault that's sole purpose was to see how long people could last with one person ruling over their lives, completely cut off from the outside world. However, as we have seen, many of the overseers bent these rules, venturing out into the wasteland to see what had become of the world. However, one of the most obvious reasons why this vault would fail, and that I think makes getting it open so important, is genetic diversity. The current population of the vault is quite small. This means that the vault will not remain genetically viable for more than a generation or two, which means it was doomed anyway. But despite the good you have done, you're asked to leave. You turned your back on Vault 101 to return to wandering the wastes and leaving the vault forever. This was a special video, as it marks the 3-year, give or take a few days, anniversary of this channel. It's been a long journey, and the past few months we have grown immensely. For that, I want to say thank you, whether you have been here 3 days or 3 years. Thank you for your continued support. Fallout 4 is around the corner, and I look forward to bringing you much more content once the game comes out. If you have any suggestions on content you would like to see before then, please leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video, please like and share it in as many places as you can. If you haven't, subscribe for regular content updates. Once again, thank you so much for your support, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you in the next one, and until then, goodbye.